again, because I'm starting the recording now. Okay, go for it.
Oh, I was just saying how we sent out a worksheet to everyone, and if you guys have that, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys could participate in our lesson. And then also, if you have a second device, we're gonna be doing the joinpd.com on that second device. We're gonna be using Pear Deck. So if you guys have that, then go ahead and enter this code once you go on that website, joinpd.com.
Well, that's happening. Let me just do a quick announcement. Just like what we did for our 6-1 class, you're going to, each of you will be required to do a peer feedback where you will create a 2 to 3 seconds feedback on Amanda, Brenda, and Rogelio's presentation. So, and it's already uploaded on Moodle, the link. All you need to do is do it by tonight so that you guys won't forget. So, all right. Okay, go for it. Okay, cool.
Okay, so we have 7 students so far. So I'm going to wait for a few of you to log on still. And then even if I start, you can still join. And the link will be on the right-hand side corner. The code will be on there. So we're doing the Great Cookie Dunk. And again, it's me, Amanda, and Rogelio.
Okay, so hello, my third grade scientists. Today we have such a fun lesson planned for you guys. So to get ready, let's all put on our lab coats and let's put on our goggles. Okay, so now that we are ready to take on the lesson today, I'm going to project some questions for you guys to get the brain flowing a little bit. So, why do you think an object sinks or floats? And you guys on the Pear Deck will be able to write your responses. Don't worry about being right or wrong, it's just to see what you guys are thinking. Okay, so weight, gravity, how dense the water is. Objects sink because it's heavy, how much it weighs. Sinks because it's heavy. The material, the density. All right, perfect. So you guys are coming up with some great answers. So whether an object sinks or floats actually has nothing to do with the weight, but instead it depends on density. And I saw that a lot of you guys wrote that as your answers. So this is something that we are going to learn today. So I hope your goggles are on tight. Okay, so the next question that I have for you guys are, what are some objects that you think will float, and what are some objects that you think will sink? So if I was to drop an object in water, which do you think will sink and which do you think will float? Ice, steel, a feather, a ball will float, empty water bottle and rock, boats, paper float, sink. Okay, so you guys are coming up with some super good answers. I'm so proud of you all. So before we go over the vocabulary class, there were a few scientists in here who went over the vocabulary with me yesterday and received the worksheet. If you have that vocabulary worksheet, you guys can go ahead and pull that out so you can follow along with us. So the first vocabulary word that we are going to go over is density. So we're going to make a fist with both hands, bring them together, spread them apart, and say density. Density. Great job. So density is how tightly or loosely packed molecules are in an object. So can anyone just shout out or type in the chat box what you notice about the picture? Okay, so in the picture, yeah, one is more dense. The denser object has more stuff in it. One box is more full. Yep, so those are great observations. Good job, class. So now I'm going to show you guys this cup that I have full of jelly beans and this cup that I have full of marshmallows. So we can see that the cup with jelly beans is more dense because they're all closely together. And we can see the cup with the marshmallows is less dense because they're spread apart more. So great job, everyone. The next vocab word that I'm going to go over is molecules. So again, we're going to make a fist with both hands and put one on top of the other. And can we say molecules?
Molecules.
Molecules.
Thank you. Great job, class. So molecules are a group of atoms that are bonded together. So everything is made up of molecules. Even this pencil that I have and you may have right in front of you, it's made up of a molecule. So the more tightly packed the molecules of an object are, the more dense. And the more loosely packed the molecules, they make the object less dense. The last word that I'm going to go over with you guys is buoyancy. So we're going to point up and say buoyancy.
Buoyancy.
Great job. So buoyancy is a force on an object, making that object rise or move upward. So if the buoyancy is stronger than the density of the object, it will float. So I'm going to take that marshmallow that I had and I'm going to put it in a cup of water and we can see that it's floating. So if the buoyancy is not stronger than the density of an object, then the object will sink. So I'm going to take that jelly bean that I had and I'm going to put it in a cup of water and we notice that it sinks right to the bottom. All right, great job, class.
Okay, class. So, as just how Amanda said, we're going to be talking about buoyancy today. So, we're going to move on. So, okay, scientists, it's time to put those lab coats on and those goggles to use. So, let's test buoyancy today. We're going to be using the scientific method that we reviewed last week. So, who can remember what the first step of the scientific method is? Go ahead and shout it out. Anyone can go ahead and just shout out an answer. What's our first step?
Question?
Yeah. Actually, is it a question? Let's find out. Ask a question. Good job. So go ahead and take out those worksheets. Everybody should have these. We sent out an email with the worksheet. If you have them, go ahead and take them out, and I would greatly appreciate if you participated. So just how Caesar mentioned, the first step of the scientific method is to ask a question. So in this case, today we're going to be doing our own experiment because we're the scientists about cookies. So do you guys think cookies will sink or float in milk? So what's our question? Who can tell me what our question is?
Will cookies sink or float in milk?
Good job. So on that worksheet and that first line where it says question, go ahead and write that question down, okay? The question is, do cookies sink or float in milk? Good job, class. You're doing great. Our second step of the scientific method is to make an observation, okay? And our third step, remember, this is a review, so we should already know all of these, is to form a hypothesis. So after we make an observation, we form a hypothesis. So on that second line, we have a hypothesis line. So you guys are going to be saying, you're going to be creating your own hypotheses. So do you guys think the cookies will sink in milk, or do you guys think the cookies will float in milk? And go ahead and write your own response, whatever you think will happen. I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds to do that. Give me a thumbs up when you guys have that down. Great job, class. You guys are doing great. Okay. So the next step of the scientific method is to conduct the experiment, which we will be doing in a second. Okay. And finally, we analyze the data and we draw our conclusions. Those are our last two steps. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step. And I'm gonna stop sharing this so you guys can see me full screen, okay? Okay. So everyone should be able to see me. Give me a thumbs up if everyone can see me full screen. Yes, thumbs up. Okay, good job, class. All right, so we're gonna move on. Our experiment today is going to be testing if our cookies will float or sink in milk. We have 4 different types of cookies today. We're going to be using Nilla wafers, we have Chips Ahoy's, we have Oreos, and we have Nutter Butters. Okay, so I have them all laid out in front of me. I'm going to be showing you the demonstration. The first thing we want to do is write that cookie. The first cookie we'll be testing is a Nilla wafer. So go ahead and write that down under the first box where it says cookie. So go ahead and write that down and give me a thumbs up once you have that. Great job, class. Everyone's doing great. Okay, what are some observations we can make about the Nilla wafer? So who can shout out an answer? Let me know. What are some observations? What do we notice about this cookie?
Yellow.
It's yellow. Good job. So write that down under observations. It's yellow. What else do we notice?
It's pretty small.
It's pretty small. Good. It's small.
It's round.
It's round. Good job. So we can write all those observations down under observation on that first box. Okay. Okay. Now that we have some observations down, okay, go ahead and think about some predictions. So what are some predictions? Do you guys think the cookie will sink or float? Here's the last look at the cookie. What do you guys think will happen? I have my cup of milk right here and we're about to test it. So before I test it, write those predictions down. And before you make that prediction, remember the density. Think about the density of the cookie. Okay? Everybody have that down? Everybody have a prediction down? Okay, we're gonna place it in the milk and see what happens. As you can see, it's floating. So if you guys predicted that it would float, give yourself a pat in the back because it's floating. And then go ahead and mark a check mark on the float one, okay? Once you have that, give me a thumbs up so we can move on to the next cookie. Great job, class. Everyone is doing amazing. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next cup and our next cookie, which is the Chips Ahoy. So write that down on your next cookie, Chips Ahoy. What do we notice about the Chips Ahoy?
It's bumpy.
It's what? I'm sorry.
It's bumpy.
It's bumpy. Good job. It's bumpy. So write that down under observations. It's bumpy. It's a little bit heavier than the Nilla wafer, so I think we can make that observation as well. It's a little bit heavier. What else can we see? What does this one have that the other one didn't?
Chocolate chips.
Yes, good job, class. This one has chocolate chips. So go ahead and write those observations down and again, make your predictions. Do you guys think it will sink or do you guys think it will float? Give you guys a few seconds to make your predictions. Remember to think of the density of this object. And here's our milk, and we're gonna go ahead and drop it in. And once again, it is floating. I don't know if you guys can see that. It is actually, it's falling in. It's falling in. So we're gonna call that sinking. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it right here at the bottom. It's sinking in, so that one sunk. So go ahead and place your check mark in the sink portion, okay? Our next cookie. Remember, we're testing 4 different cookies. So our next cookie is the Oreo. So write that down on that box. The Oreo. What do we notice about the Oreo? What's different about this one?
It has a filling.
Yeah, this one has a filling and the other ones didn't, right? So good job. So write that down. And how many cookies does this one have? 2 cookies. Yeah, good job, class. This one has 2 cookies as opposed to just 1. Okay, so make sure you're thinking about all of those things when you're making your predictions. Okay. Okay, now that you guys have had time to predict, I'm gonna go ahead and place it in the milk. And once again, it is floating. You can see that at the top. Good job, class. So place your check marks where they go. The next one we want to test, the final one, is the Nutter Butter. Why do you guys think some of them are floating? Who could tell me that? Who can tell me why some are floating and some are sinking? What are some of the vocab words we learned earlier? Someone, let me know. You guys can type
Density.
it in the chat box. Yeah, good job. The density. What else? What are we testing? What are we testing in this experiment? Buoyancy. Good job, Karina. Thank you. Okay, so the final cookie is the Nutter Butter. So what are some observations of our Nutter Butter? The Nutter Butter is how many cookies? 2 cookies. Good job, just like the other one. And just like the other one, it also has a filling. So keep that in mind when you're making your predictions. And we're gonna go ahead and test it, and it's floating. It's a floater. We have a floater. Good job, class. So go ahead and place your check marks where that goes. Now that we have tested all of them, go ahead and draw and label your results. So we're gonna draw and label all of our results, and make sure you're writing what each one of them is so I know. Okay? And now Rogelio is gonna move on with our next activity.
All right, you guys. So we've been sitting for a while. I know you guys are kind of tired from a long day, probably looking at the computer all day. And since you guys are such an awesome class, I know you're going to all participate in this. We are going to get your heart rates up, get the blood flowing a little bit, and we're going to do a scavenger hunt. So what I want you guys to do is you're going to have 3 minutes. You're all going to find your own cookies, and you're going to test them. Don't worry if you don't have cookies or even milk. You guys can use whatever type of liquid you want, whatever type of item you want. You could even grab your favorite toy. You want to see if it floats or not, anything like that. If you guys need help grabbing supplies at any time, remember to always ask whoever is watching you today to help you so you don't break a glass, anything like that. Also, if you're grabbing anything that is not yours, do not just go and get yourself in trouble and get me in trouble. I want you guys to ask again, whoever's watching you, make sure that it's okay to use that. And we're going to see who can come back the fastest in 3 minutes. Okay. Some of you I told about this sooner, so if you might have the object close by, and that's fine as well. Okay. Ready, set, and go. Saw one person leave. Who else is gonna go? 2. There we go. We got some. All right. Some people went off of their screen, so I hope they're getting those cookies to see if they're gonna float. Anyone else? If you guys can't or just don't want to, not feeling it today, that's fine. If you can stand up, stretch, get the blood moving somehow, some way. Okay. All right, I see some people coming back already. I think Carrie was first, so she's going to be the winner of the scavenger hunt. And if you guys all can hear me that are gone, we have a little less than 2 minutes left. If you guys can start making your way back. All right. Again, I think Carrie made it back first. Then I saw Alan, Jolene. All right, couple people. I see some of you guys eating your cookies already. Testing out if it's dense or not. All right, you guys, awesome. Thank you so much for participating. Now, show of hands, who wants to go first? Because remember, we are going to do this, and those that don't get through it today, you're going to do it as homework, and we're going to put it on Flipgrid, okay? So you might as well get it done now so you can see it.
Me
So
and
raise
Gabby
your
will
hand
go
who wants to go
first. Say, we'll go first.
We go first.
All right, let's see. When you put the cookie in, let's see if it floats or sinks.
All right.
What do you think is going to happen?
Oreo.
Oreo, drop it in the milk, see if it sinks or floats.
You think it's going to sink or float?
It's
Is it floating or sinking?
it's stopped.
It stopped. It's floating.
It's floating. Awesome. Let's give them a round of applause, you guys.
All right, take it out.
Awesome experiment. All right, who wants to go next? Who has something maybe other than Oreo from the two different ones?
We have another one if no one else does too.
We'll have Jolene go over time, and then I saw Leticia's hand go up.
All right, this one is a bigger cookie. It's a pecan cookie.
And this is Oreo. I love Oreos.
Okay.
He loves Oreo.
Let's drop this one in the milk.
Yeah.
Let's see if that one sinks or floats.
Oh, it floats.
It floats?
Yay.
Awesome job. Thank you so much. All right, Leticia, I saw your hand was up. What kind of cookie do you have? Do you think it's going to sink or going to float?
I bought a Kit Kat, so not a cookie, and I think it's going to float.
All right, and you have it in milk or water? I can't see what's in there.
And it's floating.
It's floating? All right, why do you think it's floating? Oh, I think we lost her. She's back.
It's
Okay.
All right, who wants to go next?
Can I go? I'm actually curious. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I have a fortune cookie, and I think it's gonna float. I think so. Here we go. Ta-da! Yes, it floated. Yay!
Floating? There you go.
Yay! I know you can't. It's hard to see. So let me just see if I can.
Yeah, it's
do that.
disappearing on us.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that one didn't fill up and start to sink to the bottom.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for one or two more. Who else wants to go? Karina with a K?
I kind of already put my cookie in, but I didn't have any type of well, I did a Ritz cracker. I guess it kind of counts.
That counts.
I did think it was gonna float, and it did. I put it in water.
Okay, there you go. See, that's what we tested. So why do you think it did float?
I think because it's really lightweight.
Lightweight, less dense? Less
Yeah.
dense in the water. But remember too, with the water and milk, that those densities are going to be different as well. So maybe if it did go into milk, it could have been a different
Oh, that's
result.
true.
And I think I saw Carrie's hand go up last time.
yeah. I have these jelly filled cookies.
Okay.
I think it's gonna sink because it's kind of heavy and it's not a perfect circle. And my cup's not see through, but let's see.
We'll believe what you say.
No, actually, it's floating.
Is it in milk?
It's in milk. But it's floating.
We'll see. That's why we test it. There you go. So with your guys' homework, so obviously some people are already figuring out that their hypothesis is incorrect. So your homework, because we don't have enough time for the rest of you guys, but we will see it all on Flipgrid. So you guys will go on Flipgrid through your Google Classroom, which we've all used before. Make sure that you record yourself doing your test. I want to know if you think it's going to sink or float. I want to see the test, and then I want you to try to write down and explain why you were either correct or why you were incorrect with your experiment. So any questions, you guys? No? All right. You guys were a great class, and we'll see you next time.